Hi guys, welcome back, and today I'm going to cover a subject I'm often asked, and it's how to build your XK properly. So there's some simple steps, and here's the first one. It's no big secret. It is buy the proper books for your car. Jaguar released a series of books when the XK was built, unlike other manufacturers that do not and have never really released proper information. They have released everything that you need to build a car and rebuild a car at home. Now these books that I'm talking about are the Jaguar official parts books. Seen here, sorry if they look a bit tatty, but I use these books every single day of my working life. And they cover the whole range of XK, and they release them for every other model as well. And they also release a service manual which tells you how to assemble it all, and all the specs, the torque, everything you need to know is here and has never been kept a secret from you. If you ever have the opportunity to get your hands on an original book, you'll see they are beautiful publications and can usually be discerned by the beautiful binding and the way that they use traditional Chicago screws. They used a couple of different ways of binding them, sometimes screws outside, sometimes inside, and this one is actually a certified reproduction book. But as you can see, as it says right here, original price reproduced, published in October 1950 to go with the release of the car. These books did come as 3 separate ones, starting with the Roadster and then the fixed head and drop head, but you will now buy them all as a compendium, so you will get a book like this that covers all models. Sorry about this one looking so old and battered, but like me, it's been knocking around here for a long time. But these books are beautiful. They were written by specialists, they were written by engineers. Jaguar was a small factory, and this is the one picture you may see actually does demonstrate an error because it was designed, and the car was taken from a Mark 7, and these carburetors actually do show early Mark 7. As you can see, the takeoff of the choke actually projects forward instead of downwards. But apart from that, we'll let them off with that little one, because this must have been done in a hurry, because let's face it, the XK120 was built in a hurry. Whenever I'm presented with a problem, the first thing I do is turn to these parts books. These are my bread and butter. And these books were drawn to a scale very, very large. My father was a draftsman, and boards could be 5 foot wide. They're reduced down in the book, but if you look at the detail, when we have problems fitting things like bearings to 140 steering columns, they do actually clearly show that there are raised sections, and when people over restore these things and polish them down, they have a problem with the bearings grabbing, and there's your answer in the book right there. If we were to take an example, say from the XK150 Volume 1 book, you can see here on the brake drawings, they do even show the early bolt type with the threads at the end, and every other component is true and drawn completely to what it should be. And when we look at the later picture, you can see the later bolts with the threads under the heads, retainers fitted for the springing, and every other component is there in beautiful picture, highly visual, and if you look in depth, the information is there. When you do refer to the text, you will find again a high level of detail, and even down to every nut, bolt and washer is there and shown. And I did have one circumstance where someone came back to me and told me his concourse builder said that a certain bolt was 1/8 too long, and he had to modify each one as he fitted it. And there was a simple answer. I said, oh, he didn't put the spring washer on then, did he? And I took one out of a bin, and guess what? It was 1/8 deep. They are shown every piece is shown. Even if a bolt has a lock wire, it still has a spring washer to bed it down. It's in the book, and even the guys that think they know everything don't know everything. Believe me, I go back to the book whenever I need to too. These things are written in codes, and this code is available. They're quite simple to decode, so you can work out the length of every bolt, every fitting, every washer comes to a size. I've taken time to give these out to Jaguar Works guys that come here and everybody to explain it, because it saves mistakes. There are some superb publications out there. All of these books are worth getting your hands on to help you build your car. But the one thing you've got to remember, the people that wrote these books are very pedantic people. They all understand the importance of having the parts books, service manuals, and these books are an advanced stage on that. They assume that you are going to have the parts book, the service manual. Bernard is a lovely guy, an old friend of the business, and he had every supplement, every update, every part. This book, he has drawn the bits that are missing. You don't start with this book. This book helps you after you've run out of basic information. And it's got to be remembered, they are brilliant books. If you can get your hands on them, save you thousands of pounds on a build, but they are hard to get hold of. Fantastic books. If I was ever going to write a book, well, I could only hope it could be half as good as this. So, this is the Jaguar Service Manual. This is the book that Jaguar released for you to be able to rebuild your car. Gives you all the vital information. There was a smaller consolidated version called the handbook, but this is the full Monty. This is how to build up everything. This takes you through the whole thing. If you haven't got this, then it's like building an Airfix model without the instructions, because you're just going to be asking question after question. Again, this book started with the Mark 7 as the XK120 did. So it was an expansion onto that, and then as the other models came out, supplements were added for the 140 and 150. Generally, if you buy this book now, you'll buy it as a compendium of all of them, and you will have the whole thing. And again, absolutely invaluable. You need this book to build the car. Sometimes Jaguar did issue supplemental books, and this one covers overdrive models, which obviously came in on the XK140, 150 and carried on through. And it is very clever, and if you find you have, again, a problem with the cable, etc., you may find you had the wrong overdrive fitted. As you can see here, the rear annulus body did have various designs, and if they're kicking out at wild angles, then you probably haven't got the XK one. And it's a simple answer. You look in the book and it tells you what you've got. At the worst, we can have the correct bits made, we can have them rebuilt, but first of all, you want to know what's wrong with your car. Going slightly off subject, there are other books that are probably so rare you've never ever seen them. Here's a few that I've restored lately. One of my little hobbies is restoration, and this one is the servicing details for the D-Type Jaguar, which I've fully restored. Kind of book like this you'll probably never see again. This information, if I hadn't got my hands on it, would have been lost forever. I've restored it completely. These are like brand new books. The C-Type Jaguar, well, there never really was a complete spares catalogue, not like this. But again, one of my hobbies. There's now an index. I've now drawn the car, and here it is in the format it was written, typewritten, as you can see, but perfectly restored. This kind of book, well, it's like you just found it in a drawer and it's been there for 75 years. Can drive you potty restoring books like this, because you are literally restoring letter by letter, taking out years of photocopying errors, written marks, oh, so many things. I've restored a lot of these books now, and they are beautiful. And further information, go back to the D-type. Again, I've compiled information over the years and put them into books. And here we go, cylinder head removal. There are literally handwritten pieces of advice to customers that were sent around the world from Jaguar engineers. And I mean, handwritten pencil writing, very hard to restore. But as you can see here, again, if you've got one of these cars, this is just a blast from the past. During the COVID shutdown, I did embark on a little insane personal project and went right back to the SS100 book, which, as such an established company, we had knocking round. As you can see, it looked very poorly, and in the day, well, any additions were literally sent out on an A4 sheet and added in, and I have restored this book to a point where I have inserted all of the additions and could print this like a brand new book. If you see the actual information we work with, yeah, I'm nuts. But very rewarding, preserving history. And yeah, sorry, don't just do XK. I sort of sometimes go off on tangents. But if you love cars, I guess you love cars. And if you love the bits, I don't know, we're all a bit nuts. Now, what's the secret? The other secret? One of these. What I'm using now. A camera phone. Buy the most complete car you can. My advice is always buy a complete car. If you buy a box of bits, you really don't know what's in the boxes. Get a complete car and strip it down yourself and take photo after photo after photo. You can take 1,000,000 with this, you can delete them afterwards, but when you finish the car, you can go back, you can look, you can see how something went together, you can see where it went, you can see the orientation, you can see exactly how it fitted. I mean, this is the most amazing technology in our hands. Use it. You can come onto our website, you can compare pictures, you can stand under your car, you can dial up my website from your smartphone, you can look at pictures, you can turn it around to get the orientation, say, yeah, that's right, or that's the bit I need. It's absolutely brilliant technology. Please do use it. I always advise customers to really think about how they're going to build the car before they start, because you know, the early cars had drum brakes, and I sell every piece, I make every piece. I can help you fully restore this, but the cost is going to be pretty much the same as if you went for a disc brake conversion. And you know, these disc brake conversions are lovely, and it means you will actually have the same braking advantage of the traffic in front of you, rather than trying to be psychic and guess at what's going to go on. We do brilliant kits, we've done them for so many years. You can see them here. We can do steel wheel versions as well as the common wire wheels. And if you look here, it's properly engineered. I see so many kits that are poorly done. You should, from the caliper, take a rigid pipe down to basically the nearest point to the chassis, so you can use the shortest flexible available. I've seen things with massive big ballooning hoses that will just get cut through by the wheel. You know, there is solid engineering behind these things, and this is safety. To a bracket there, secure it. We use a clever little adapter, use a standard hose. We're not cutting any corners, we're doing it correctly. This is how engineers build cars, and that's why these cars last. They're to save lives. You don't put big balloons floating through mid-air because it's cheap for you, because you know, you don't live that long with it. I've seen it again and again and again. Buy a properly engineered kit, do it properly, don't mess around with your brakes. You can do drums properly, you can do discs properly, but please do them properly. There are a couple of other failings on the XK that really you want to engineer around. One is cooling. You know, big engine, small grille, a lot of air you got to flow over that big engine. We've done a few videos about this. We do all the solutions. So, you know, you start with your brakes, go through cooling that engine, and then the other main problem is electrics. This is where the car is lacking. It uses a dynamo. The dynamo really drops out at the bottom end when you need it most. If you're fitting electric fans, that kind of equipment, you're going to need them when you're going slow, not when you're going fast. So this is where it's going to fail. This is why the alternator is a distinct upgrade. It's self-regulating. Dynamos are good. Again, they have to be set up to each car. Remember that. They are a manually tunable part, where an alternator is automatically tunable. So if you've got a dynamo and it's not giving enough at the top end, you may need to just sit there with the car idling, turn on all your equipment, use your ammeter to make sure it's reading zero, and then when you turn off that equipment, everything else will be overcharging, the battery will be charging. Otherwise, when you put your headlights on and whack on the heater and everything, you may be driving home on the battery, which nobody wants. So remember, start with the electrics. The cars were originally positive earth, okay? The earth lead to the body, positive earth. It was associated in the day with perhaps encouraging corrosion, and the norm now is negative earth. So if you want to build a car where you're going to fit modern equipment, you're probably wise to go directly to negative earth. If you fit an alternator, you probably won't get the choice. Dynamos, you can get dynators as well, which is basically an alternator inside a dynamo casing, and sometimes they can tune them for pos earth with extra gizmos inside, but really I would go for negative earth from scratch, and you'll know where you're going. So the basics are there. That's the secret. Get as much information as you can. Use the best stuff you can. Use the best suppliers you can that know what they're talking about. You can go through problems. We've got the answers. We can help you build the car from the ground up. Like I say, you take the pictures, you keep your info. I'll tell you where you're going wrong. I can point you in the right direction. We can make it a lot of fun. We can build cars together. But, you know, go to people who've got experience. Anyway, I hope you enjoy your build. I hope this has helped you a bit. It's more just about knowing where to start. So get as much information as you can. Do your research. Don't just pull a car apart without the instruction book, because you wouldn't do it with an Airfix kit. You know, get the book. Jaguar told you how to build it in the day. So let's build it together properly.